Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. We're just moving right along through Megaman Zero 2, another quick, easy playthrough. I'm not sure how fast I'll get through Megaman Zero 3 and 4. I think I've played those ones less than I have the first two, so I guess we'll see. They're actually just pretty short games, so I don't think I'll take too long on either one of those either, though. Like I mentioned in the first video, this is the first Mega Man Zero game I ever played, and then I moved back to the first game. I did mention that I have all the other Game Boy Advance games, and when I was looking through for the purposes of the Mega Man Zero 1 video, turns out I only have Mega Man Zero 2. Somehow through the sands of time, I have lost my other Mega Man Zero Game Boy Advance games, unfortunately. Good thing I own two different collections of them because I can still go back and play them. I have no idea where my other Mega Man Zero games are. I'm pretty bummed out about it. Hopefully I can reclaim them for pretty cheap down the line. So, Mega Man Zero 2 has added a couple different things from the first Mega Man Zero game. For one, instead of the triple rod weapon, they added a weapon called a chain rod. I actually like the chain rod a lot more than I remember in past playthroughs. I like it a lot better than the triple rod. The chain rod just seems to have a lot more reach to it. It has a lot of other uses too. For instance, it can grab items and pull them towards you, like blocks, enemies, all that kind of stuff. It has a lot of versatility. I ended up using this as my secondary weapon most of the playthrough just because it has so much reach, and it can penetrate through a lot of shields and defenses like that, and it does double damage because it goes through an enemy, and then when it comes back, it does a second one. When I'm not really using the saber, I tend to use this chain rod. I think my problem with using these secondary weapons, like the triple rod and the chain rod, though, is whenever you are using it, it just seems like you're rooted in place. So I tended to jump up in the air to use my chain rod because then you could still move left or right. If you use the triple rod or the chain rod on the ground, you're just rooted in place for a second, and those few frames make all the difference. So I think that's why I tend to gravitate towards the Z Saber and the Buster Shot, is because you can still move around when you're using those weapons. The weapons themselves do level up. I was talking about in the first video, I wasn't sure if they carried over those leveling up mechanics in the second one. Turns out they do. It just seems like they level up a lot faster than the first one. I never really had to grind to level up my sword or even like my chain rod. It seemed like one level playthrough, they were fully maxed. I didn't mention this in the first video, but man, am I really glad that I have a proper D-pad to play this game through. I recently got a Nintendo Switch Lite for Christmas, which has a D-pad on it, compared to the original Switch, which is just the buttons, like they're just the round buttons. And playing through a game like this would just shred my thumb, I think, playing with those buttons compared to a D-pad. I am currently playing through Super Mario Deluxe U as I go to bed, kind of just a game to wind down. And I am playing that on the original Switch, and it is just tough playing a 2D platformer with the buttons. I think you really need a D-pad to play through a game like this. They introduced forms in this game, and forms are, let's see, when you accomplish a certain task, you unlock a new form of Mega Man Zero. For instance, if you use the shield boomerang to deflect a lot of bullets, you get this erase form. So that changes your color, which is really cool. And then it makes it so your sword can cut through bullets and erase them. One form that I tended to use is, let's see, you unlock it after dash cutting through 20 enemies in a level. And then that makes it so you do this little spiral spin cut, and this was actually one of the weapon upgrades as you go along in the first one. But when you're in the air, you do this little spin thing. When you're dashing, you do this spin move with the sword. And it was really welcome to do this like cool area effect around you. I tended to do like little hops in the air and do the spin attack to attack the basic enemies, because you tended to get 2 hits off. When you do have this form on, you don't do the triple combo attack that you do with a normal Z-Saber, but I found for most common enemies, dashing through them and doing this somersault sword attack tended to finish them off, and you were able to move through without getting hit by them. I really like the form unlocks. It gives you something extra to go for. I like that it changes your color I wish that there was some way to just change Zero's color while keeping a different form of ability, if that makes sense. I just like the customization. Zero has this form where his third slash on his triple slash combo does this like upward swing, which is pretty cool, but I really like how it makes him all white and black. I really like that color scheme. I think that the circle somersault Z-Saber attack is a lot more effective though, and I just wish like his color changes only to a slightly orange, and he's already like a basic red, so it doesn't change him that much. I wish there was some way to change him to a cooler color like blue or green. In addition to new forms, they also introduce X abilities. And I think this is taking a page straight out of the basic origins of Mega Man, where when you beat a boss and still have a rank A. I talked about ranks in the first video. Depending on how well you do, if you get an A or an S rank, you unlock an X ability. And the X ability kind of takes a move from the boss that you fight. So for instance, you fight one of the Guardians. She's like this swimming trident girl, like water ability kind of thing. She does this little downward, kind of like Link, you know, in Super Smash Brothers, where he has his sword pointed downwards. You can do this down thrust. So if you beat her and have a rank A or an S, you unlock this little down thrust with your Z-Saber. So that's always a cool way to upgrade your guy, make him feel better. My problem with this is I wish they would just give you the X abilities no matter what, so you don't have to worry about your rank. I talked about this in the first video, but using elves lowers your rank and pretty much guarantees that you won't get an A rank if you have any elves attached to you. You either choose to use elves and miss out on using X abilities, or opt out of using the elves in favor of the X abilities. Now granted, I tended not to really ever even use the X abilities. I honestly forget they exist as I play through, but I don't want to miss out on them. I kind of get FOMO in that aspect, so I opted out of using the elves until the very last, I got all the X skills unlocked, and then it's like, okay, it's elf time. So then you can use them to make Zero move faster, do more damage, get more vitality, that kind of stuff. I feel like this game is just a lot more forgiving than the first Mega Man Zero. I believe this wasn't the first Zero with the extra health tanks, but it seems like they give you a lot more in this game. The health tanks are, let's see, if you're full health and you get they're not potions, but if you get the health, I don't know what they're called, the health capsules, then it stores it in this excess container for you, and it kind of acts like a potion you can use whenever you're low health. You can use up that extra stored up energy to heal yourself up. When I played through, I was able to get 3 of them. I'm not sure how many total there are. Some of the elves actually turn into these extra capsules as well. And so it's really nice to be able to heal up when you're in the middle of a hard boss without having to worry about dying. Granted, it's not that big of a deal because of this collection introduces these checkpoints, which are really nice. I feel like the final boss was also a lot easier. The final boss in the first one just gave me such a difficult time. In this one, I was able to do it all without dying and only really using 1 health capsule. It wasn't actually that difficult. The first one, you had the fear of falling off the ledge, which is an insta-death, whereas this one didn't have that at all, and it was a lot easier to get hits off of him without having to do like these weird wall jump attacks on the first boss. Overall, just more forgiving of a game, I think, and it was really welcome. It still does have a challenge, and you still really have to memorize the boss's attacks. I feel like how I play most Mega Man Zero gameplay against the bosses is you kind of have to memorize their attacks, memorize how to dodge those attacks, and then get a charge slash in, and then wait for their attack, get a charge slash in, and that's how I tend to play my games. There's a couple of bosses where you can't get a charge slash in, and then you just have to whittle them down with like a somersault sword attack. I talked about in the first one, I wasn't really sure what a Reploid was. I ended up looking it up, and turns out I was right. A Reploid is basically an android, like a half-human, half-robot. Now, my next question that I'll look up before the third video is, what exactly is Neo Arcadia? So, it seems like the final 4 levels of the Mega Man Zero games are in Neo Arcadia, and that seems like where all the big baddies are. But it also sounds like through the story that Neo Arcadia is like this city full of innocent humans as well, but you never come across the city. It's just hard final levels, kind of like in the original Mega Mans where you go, you'd fight your way up to Dr. Wily. It kind of seems like that for all the time for Neo Arcadia. So I'm not exactly sure what Neo Arcadia is, besides it's the home of the bad guys to Mega Man Zero. In the story, it turns out, so your group is called Mavericks, which is kind of like the rebellious group. You call the rebels Mavericks. And so the Mavericks seal everyone. You get a shiny new base. In the first one, it was kind of this run-down, broken-up base. In this one, it's all new. You know, it just seems like you are gathering up a larger resistance force than in the first one. So you have a new leader of this Maverick resistant group, and his name is El Pizo or something like that. All the names in Mega Man Zero are just so weird and hard to pronounce and even remember. But he's like El Pizo. And he is a Reploid that is just obsessed with destroying Neo Arcadia to any means. And so this whole concept of this Dark Elf is uncovered. And apparently, if you get the Dark Elf, the Mother Dark Elf, you get unlimited power. And so he will stop at nothing to get the Dark Elf and just wipe out all of Neo Arcadia, which is a problem because there are a lot of innocent lives in Neo Arcadia as well. And so he's obsessed, and eventually he goes rogue, and you're tasked with trying to stop your old leader El Pizo. I like that there's the reoccurring enemies in this game. There's like 4 main guardians of Master X in the first one that you have to fight through, and they are reoccurring in this one. They seem, I don't know, the guardians are kind of interesting because, you know, X, they were following the replica of X, which was kind of a bad guy. He kind of had the same motives as El Pizo did. And so now that you defeated the replica of X, it still seems like they are like bent on defeating Zero, but they are also not bad guys, if that makes sense. The Guardians just kind of, they're interesting characters, and it seems like the leader of them is this flying green guy. I think his name's Harpuya, maybe. I have no idea. But it's the relationship between him and Zero is kind of interesting because he wants to defeat you in combat, but he also kind of is helping you out at the same time. Like, you guys are allies, but you're rivals. I guess you could compare this to maybe Mega Man and Proto Man in the original series. But their stories and characteristics are getting really fleshed out, and I think they are reoccurring characters in the third and fourth one as well. Now, you do encounter these Guardians twice, and the first time they take on their original form, and they have a lot of reoccurring moves that they do in the first Mega Man Zero. But then when you approach them the second time, they transform into this new secondary form. I think these look so dumb. Like the flying Harpuya, he turns into this weird like bird airplane thing. The girl, Trident Girl, I was talking about unlocking an X skill from, she turns into this weird giant trident ship thing. I don't know. I really don't like the designs of their second forms, or their second form battles for that matter. I think I'd rather fight just like a regular Reploid. Although the music in this game is good, I think I like the music in the first game better. This one was just a lot more electric guitars, and electric guitars are fine in moderation, but I feel like this game was all just like hard rock, go, all right. And the first one I feel like had a little more chiptune-y kind of music to it. You can't walk around to other areas like you could in the first Mega Man Zero. In the first Mega Man, you could just leave your resistance base and get around to any of the other areas that you have missions in. In this one, it seems like you just had to be teleported to it. I don't mind it so much, though, because it's not like I'm replaying through areas anyway. And in the first one, it has you go to the same area multiple times. Like, you're going to the desert multiple times, you're going to the water base multiple times. In this one, it seems like there's a lot more variation. Like, you do go to a water place twice, but they're like different water places. It doesn't feel like you're just replaying the same level again. I didn't talk about this in the first Mega Man Zero discussion, but each, as Mega Man fashion, each end of the Neo Arcadia levels has you fighting through all the bosses, kind of like a boss rush mode. And I just feel like I cruise through these bosses, probably because this is my most played Mega Man Zero game. But it's just a fun aspect. You just feel so strong when you're going through all these bosses. And the first time you play through them, you might have a lot more difficulty. But now that you know all their moves, know what to do, you can just cruise through, and it's just really satisfying, and you feel really powerful by then. I think I will give this game a 4 out of 5. There's just a couple nitpicky things I have about it. I wouldn't quite call any of these games amazing, I think, but that might change when I get to Mega Man Zero 3 and 4. But as for right now, I think the most these games will ever reach is a 4 out of 5. I think it could just be fleshed out a little bit more, in my opinion. I'm not sure what I would change to make it better. They're still great games. I really, really like the Mega Man Zero series, but I don't think I'd call any of them amazing yet, but I guess we'll see. Well, guys, let me know if you have any questions or comments about Mega Man Zero 2. Just like I said, short little game, short little casual reviews. Maybe tune in the next couple days for Mega Man Zero 3. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!